Hey everybody, it's me, Bill, coming back again. Follow me at, now get this, hold on, Superstar48198 on Twitter. Email me at superstar48198@gmail.com. And if you got a question for me, put in the subject line Bill's Take and whatever you want me to have a take on. Alright? Got this from the Ypsilanti Heritage Festival over the weekend for free. Of course, I had to sign up for a few things, like try to win something. It's the local NCAA basketball team known as the Eastern Michigan University Eagles. Used to be known as the Hurons. I'm not too fond of the change from the Hurons to the Eagles. Kind of sucks. But anyways, let me get to where I'm going with this here. Got a email from Scott L. from Houston, Texas, in the good old USA. Wants to know, do I like professional wrestling, and what do I watch as far as wrestling goes? Well, like a lot of people in my generation that are in their mid to late 30s, used to be real big on wrestling back in the 80s when Hulkamania was the shit. And then you had the NWA on the TBS channel, and World Class Championship Wrestling and AWA on ESPN. And the occasional, at times, you get the Japanese wrestlers come in from other places, and then you have the wealth of wrestling magazines like Pro Wrestling Illustrated, The Wrestler, and so forth before the internet came and cable TV got expanded into the 90s with WCW branching out from the NWA, the WWF still having their thing and all that. But where I stand right now is I refuse to watch the WWE. I think it's garbage on the most part. Big part of it is because they were desperate in the early 2000s to buy out their competition, meaning WCW, owned by the Turner Corporation, and ECW, which I'm sure if you watch wrestling now, you see a guy named Paul Heyman with a former UFC fighter, Brock Lesnar. He was the guy that, Heyman was the one that created the ECW, the original, not that bullshit the WWL had for a while there. But as far as that goes, wrestling goes, I'll follow Japanese wrestling in a heartbeat, like New Japan Pro Wrestling Noah, that, and there's a lot of people out there that are purely WWE fans that think that, oh, you see a new wrestler, they just come out of nowhere, come off the streets. Yeah, I don't watch it. I know who's on there, thanks to the internet. Like, that really big guy from India they call Great Khali. Well, newsflash, he was there once before when it was the WWF. And he wrestled in New Japan Pro Wrestling as well. Got a lot of guys that are in the WWE that have wrestled in Japan and Mexico and so forth. They're not new guys, they're just repackaged as a different character. Just a little FYI on you guys with that. Sure, there's WWE's got some good wrestlers like CM Punk, for example. Outstanding guy. Daniel Bryan, by the way, outside of the WWE, is known as Bryan Danielson. You can check him out on YouTube with Pro Wrestling Noah. There's also other good companies here in the States, like, well, TNA, they've been around for a while, but they're struggling still. Ring of Honor, now they relegated themselves to some offbeat channel, cable channel you can only get like in the Boondocks or wherever. Dragon Gate USA. Now, if you want really good wrestling, like and you don't care who's on there, those guys could really go big time. But like I said, it's more with the Japanese wrestling, like New Japan, Pro Wrestling Noah. I'm more of a New Japan fan than a Pro Wrestling Noah. For example, on their New Japan's January 4th show at the Tokyo Dome, which is their WrestleMania. They're not like the McMahons where they only have their own product on there. Like, for example, this year in the Tokyo Dome, they had representatives of Ring of Honor, former WWE wrestler Shelton Benjamin, teaming up with MVP. Yeah, that same guy from the WWE. You had New Japan Pro Wrestling wrestlers, All Japan Pro Wrestling Noah. There's been times, certain years, where they've had the above mentioned, as I said, New Japan, All Japan, Pro Wrestling Noah, also TNA Wrestling, Dragon Gate, CMLL in Mexico, AAA Wrestling in Mexico, and so forth, all on the same show. So they got it right there. New Japan does, could theoretically have a tag team, a 6-man match where you could have guys from like 5 or 6 different companies competing in the same match. That's why I like about another reason why I like about Japanese wrestling, because they're not afraid to, like, hey, let's reach out, let's do this, let's do that, trade our talent, and so forth. And there's this guy in the WWE, Lord Tenzai. He used to be Prince Albert, back in the day of the WWF. Earlier this year, well, actually, late last year, early this year, he was co-holder of both the IWGP, which is New Japan Pro Wrestling's tag team titles, and the GHC World Tag Team titles, which is owned by Pro Wrestling Noah. Holding those along with his partner, Carl Anderson. Google him. Google the tag team Bad Intentions, excuse me. Holding 2 different companies' tag team titles simultaneously at the same time, without having to be blackbarred on either show, or not even mentioned at all. So there's my take on it. Scott from Houston. Just keep the questions going, everybody, and have a good evening.